Hi, everybody, and welcome to Community Appreciation Day. We're so excited to have you guys with us today. My name is Violet, and I'm the community manager at Domotz. We came up with this idea about 6 weeks ago to have a special celebration for Community Appreciation Day, where we bring all these different parts of the MSP community together for a kind of celebration and learning experience. So here we are. There will be special prizes at the end, and they will be influenced by how active you are in the chat and how many questions you ask. So go ahead, get into the chat, ask your questions, and I hope everybody has a really great time. So now, Wayne, I'll pass it over to you to start introducing our panelists.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Wayne Miller. I'm the channel manager for 45 Drives and their new channel 45 Professional. And we are happy to be here today to the first ever Community Appreciation Day. And I'd love to introduce Matt Topper to the event. Pretty excited to have Matt.
Hey, Wayne. Hey, Violet. Thanks for having me.
So why don't you just tell us where you come from in case people aren't aware?
Yeah, so where I come from physically at the moment is upstate New York, but based on the community aspect, I am representing the MSP community on Reddit, which may be one of the, I think might be one of the biggest in total number of communities around as far as the MSP world goes. And man, it's just such an amazing journey, like where that came from, how it started, right? Just me randomly hitting the create button one day to all of a sudden other people finding it. Then it's pretty awesome what it's turned into. And I'm thankful for everyone who's helped build it. Me partially, just partially.
Amazing. Then I think we'll get Kelvin on the screen next to tell us a little bit about what he does in the community space.
I do absolutely nothing. I try to do as little as possible. Also, if you guys are wondering why my face is stuck in this position, I actually have a bad case of the flu, which makes my camera freeze all the time. So that's my excuse today. No, StreamYard really doesn't like me having this amazing setup with my camera. So it's very weird having a super high quality camera and a very low frame rate. I am responsible for Cyberdrain, a large community of MSPs, but I also help Topper manage /RMSP. I'm one of the moderators there as well. Next to that, I also am one of the board members of MSPGeek, so I'm all around in the community. I try to get involved in as many community places as I can. I'm also the administrator of MSPs R Us, a Discord community, so it's truly all over the place. And like Topper said, it's so much fun to be able to help people around and like seeing the surprise at people getting involved in these communities and actually finding what they're looking for is amazing.
Amazing. We know you're everywhere, and we're very excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much. How about, we bring up Marvin B. Mr. Marvin B., welcome.
Hello. Yes, Marvin B. here. I, if people don't know, am an MSP business owner in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, also known as the Florida Man, and I host the IT Business Podcast.
Florida Man.
It's not really a community, but it's a show where we try to help other IT business owners, and we support all of the other communities out there, and we try to promote and support all the vendors out there in the space.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Next, I think we'll bring up someone that I'm very personally excited to have here, and that's Mendy Green from MSPGeek.
Hey, Violet.
Hi.
Thanks for having me here. I'm Mendy, obviously. I'm CEO currently of MSPGeek, which is a community that formed around a specific product and then over time shifted to cover like the entire MSP entity almost, and everything within. Um, we've been community now for about 11, 12 years, I think, formed, and it's again, like Kelvin, I don't really do anything. I just sit there and watch everyone else do it. It's really exciting to see how the community, like, they drive each other and everyone works together to accomplish a singular goal when they put their mind to it.
Amazing. Very excited to have you here and hear more from you later during the session.
Next,
that's you, Wayne.
Oh, thank you very much. I think the next person I'd love to see is Ashley Cooper.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Of course, right now is when my computer decided to start doing updates. And so I was like, oh no. Thank you for having me on. Are we introducing ourselves now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, tell us
Yes.
a little bit about what you do in the community. And
Sure, yeah. I started at an MSP actually about almost 17 years ago now. And I came on as a dispatcher and I was really involved in just kind of like figuring out everything there was to know. I found community just because it's kind of my natural state, as I'm always looking for it. I found MSPGeek, then LabTechGeek, which really helped me catapult my career in that kind of ecosphere, and moved off. And now I'm doing MSPGeek, I'm doing Reddit, I'm doing a lot of different social brand engagement, and just really love this group. So.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next we have, is that me or you, Wayne?
We're back to you.
Okay. Next we have Scott Sanders from IT Business Owners Group on Facebook.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you inviting me to this event. So I am Scott Sanders. I am the proud founder and president of IT Business Owners Group. IT Business Owners Group is coming up on their 10-year birthday here soon. This year, we'll celebrate our 10th year. I do believe we are the oldest in the space for social media for IT business owners. So super glad to be here. Excited to see what the future holds. Thanks.
Oh, that was great. Thank you, Scott, for sharing that. Next, we'd like to bring up Dave Sobel, the host of Business of Tech MSP Radio.
Oh, thank you all for having me. It's really nice to be here. I guess we're doing the quick introduction. So I like many have been. I'm a former MSP. I'm kind of OG on I founded my MSP back in 2002. So I've been doing this a long time. I'm a super active community member, like many here during my time as an MSP. I went on to lead community efforts at Level Platforms, the GFI, Logic Now, SolarWinds Run, and then about 5 years ago launched my podcast, The Business of Tech, which the idea behind it is to provide analysis and insights for business owners to give you the stuff you need to know in your business. I do a show roughly every business day, and it's about 10 minutes long. And I ask the question, why do we care? To give you some perspective on the stories and why they matter for your business.
Excellent. Can't wait to hear more.
Thanks for having me.
Violet, off to you.
Yeah, so I think now, actually, I think this is you, Wayne. I think we're going to start getting into the unboxing. So I'll let you take it away.
Excellent. Thanks so much, everybody. I just want to, thank the people behind this, Violet, Matt Fox, and inviting myself. I'm new to the community, channel manager for 45 Professional Data Storage and Virtualization. And when we heard about this, we jumped at the opportunity, and we shared a gift. And the next 5 minutes, the recipients here on screen are going to unbox and have some fun. And I don't know how you want to do it, Violet. Are we going person by person, or is everybody going to open it at the same time?
I think we're just going to open them all at the same time. And then I think
you guys should just go absolutely nuts, pretend you're the Nintendo 64 kids, and get the things opened up, please.
Let's go.
And then we're going to explain what we put in the box for you. And Jonathan will pop on.
All right. Big giant boxes here.
Okay, so
got my box cutter.
I cheated. I pre-cut the box tape, but did not look.
Ooh, I should have done that. That's a good idea.
I didn't have to pre-cut
Sure
it
you
because
didn't look, Dave.
Customs decided
Oh,
to
look
open it
at
for me.
this.
It's just a little thank you, and I know that some community people are going to raffle these off later to their own communities.
Look at that. A beautiful certificate.
Think your own Funko Pop to go with some of the other fun in my office. It's quite the
Personalized
nice
Funko Pop.
item.
Oh my god, this is so
That
awesome.
looks real interesting.
This is so cool.
The Funko Pop is amazing.
Look at him. He actually looks like me. I'm just going to hold him in front of the camera instead of freezing all the time.
Treat.
And then you guys can just talk to him.
Nice. Nice.
And branded
awesome.
gear. Look at that.
So,
I'm
I
breaking
love
in.
all of this stuff, but this
wow.
is the stuff of nightmares for me. I have a thing about stuff getting close to my eyes, and then people are giving me an eye massager. That's
I was
my
gonna
nuts.
say, Kelvin, you don't put computers against your face. That's perfectly fine. Really quickly, I just broke in. I know I'm supposed to be in the background doing everything else, but I wanted to make sure you guys saw some of this because, you know, they got these Funko Pops where they're you guys. There's a Matt Topper Funko Pop. Do you know how many
That is pretty cool.
Do you know how many
Yeah,
lawyers we had to deal with on that? You guys got certificates. You got a little something to treat yourself. And when it's time to get back to work and support the community, the folks at 45 Professional just hooked you up with some pretty sweet pro workstations, pro clients.
That's
rather.
awesome.
So
This
this
is really cool.
That is something else.
Fantastic and so generous.
So
Look how
I think-
absolutely
I'm not
awesome
saying
it
Thank
you're
is.
you.
Guys,
Actually
We were-
has the
we were talking about
Cybergrade
trucks
logo on
earlier.
there.
we were talking about
Yeah,
trucks
look at
earlier.
that.
Just really
RMSP
quickly
right
before I
on
get
there.
into the background.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You guys, if you ran over one of these with a
Cool.
truck, it would survive. And with that said, I'm going to disappear in the back.
Are you saying we should test that, Matt?
I think okay, we'll just explain what we gave to each of you. So we went for like a deep dive to learn more about you and try to, I hope it doesn't sound creepy, but so you have a little cute figurine of yourself. And so we tried to get details, like we heard Mendy really likes ice cream. Is something that we heard. We heard that like Matt Topper loves pickleball. Dave, we tried to get your cats the right color. We hope they're the right color. And then we gave you some treats from where our offices are based in Utah. And Jonathan is going to pop on and explain what he got for you from Ninja.
I don't know that there's any explanation needed for the eye massager. All of you kind folks do amazing things. You're online all the time. You're seeing things you can't unsee. I just figured you want a massage. At the end of the day, you just need to like block it all out. And so we've got that. We also have coming for you a Ninja One weighted blanket. It's like 15 pounds. So basically you can like envelop yourself in a cocoon after you've been subjected to the cacophony of the MSP community, which is lovely, but also overwhelming at times. So that's our gift to you. Matt, especially you with RMSP. Go massage your eyeballs, you know? Go wash them too.
Oh, I will.
Can we? So could we stop talking about eyeballs? Like this is a serious phobia I have. It's
This is dangerous information to be giving out publicly. Kelly.
yes.
Is this a bad omen that mine broke? My head fell off.
Oh my God, you're happy about that.
I don't know if I like what that insinuates. My head is not that big compared to my body. And why is it all gray?
Be glad it's not a voodoo
Marvin, I
doll.
might stay away from the highway for a while if I were you.
Marvin, how'd you even open it?
What do you mean, how did I open?
Oh, okay. I didn't want to
this
break
is
it, but
awesome.
I got it open.
Are you referring to the shooting that happened last night? Because that was literally a mile away.
You even got
Clearly not hardcore pop fans because a lot of the Funko people are freaking out that you're opening up the pop.
Hey, you've unboxed that? It's not mint anymore.
Oh, I unboxed it.
Oh, whew.
Oh, it's not
It's a
meant to be.
They
collectible.
can
unboxed?
go. You can do either. Come
So
on, they
let's-
can be displayed or they can be displayed. Either way works.
Can I get
I mean,
a
let's be
number?
honest. It has a Jets logo on it. How valuable could it be long term?
I've got a barbell, so I'll just. It's awesome.
This is amazing. Thank you.
Quite cool.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Super
Awesome.
generous. Thank you.
I
That's
think
supposed to be in
Wayne
the drawing?
also put a little something in there in the box. What are those? I think it's maybe customized even.
We've included our 45 professional pro client, mini computers, and we were able to get your logos on there. We hope you love them. They're made in North America. Our claim to fame is our products are built on open platforms, open software. They come pre-installed with Linux Mint, but you're free to work on them. But we appreciate you even letting us be here at the show today, and it's awesome. So I hope you enjoy them.
Possibly the beefiest piece of hardware I've seen in a long time.
I was going to say the same, Dave. It's stout.
Hey, folks, I'm going to just jump in real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
Physical security,
I
right?
want to make sure that this event is still for community, and we're having a lot of fun looking at the boxes and checking them out. But I think that the audience would be much more interested in our outlook for 2025 and exactly what it is we want to see come from the community, because that's why we're here today. So I'm going rogue. I'm taking over the stream. Dave, what have you got cooking in 2025 that we should be looking for? That is.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say I'm covering all this on the podcast, and I would say the number one thing to think about is for me, I'm talking a lot of AI, but I want to actually make sure that people are thinking about it in a very practical terms. There's a lot of hype right now, and the thing that everyone keeps reflecting back to me in every interview that I have with experts, as well as all the data, is how important it is to work with customers right now on data management. That ultimately the only people that are going to be successful with any of their AI implementations as customers are the ones that have done a really good job of organizing and managing their data. If you think about Copilot, the only thing that really makes it work is if there is data to power it. And what I'm starting to see happen is we're starting to see a small group of end customers powered by certain providers that are starting to pull ahead with their implementations, and a large number that are really still struggling to have something happen. We're not seeing enough projects get out of that project initial proof of concept phase. And I'm concerned for the broader space of that market gap widening and too many getting left behind. So if you ask me what I'm watching this year, the thing I think that's most important, it's the transformation that providers are going to have to do to think about data management.
I want to have something intellectual, something stimulating to say in response to that. All I could think of is that there's a new Terminator movie coming out soon.
And always foreshadowing of what might happen if this all the way goes to the end.
All right, folks. Dave will be back. Scott, you're talking about trucks earlier. You got the knife out, the box cutter. You have got some. I think the kids call it Riz these days. Is that what it is? Riz? I want to know.
I guess.
What can we expect from the IT business owners group in the coming year? What's the big stuff going on here, man?
Much of the same. We are slow and steady. We're not trying to win the race here. We're just trying to bring in lots of new IT business owners, whether they be break fix or MSP, along with vendors to join our sponsorship lineup.
Succinct. I like it. Slow and steady.
This
man is the reason I still drive a 94 Cherokee. Dave, we're going to talk more about LLMs in the future because I've got my machine dedicated to it back here. The folks at Ninja One have been helping me with some upgrades and making some cool stuff happen. So that is going to be a definite topic I'd love to bring up with you as well, because AI, like you said in the comments, is a blessing and a threat. Oops, hit the wrong comment. Look at that. And who wants to come up next? Matt Topper, I want to hear from you. We talk all the time in the mornings. I want to hear from you without hearing from me. What's up, man?
Well, everything's fantastic, Matt. So if I talk about RMSP, first I want to say that this is not me, the benevolent dictator. I'm not the Linus Torvalds of RMSP. The community and the members drive what it is, along with the other moderators like Kelvin and Ashley who are on with us. One of the things that I would like to start focusing on this year is we have, I think, lost some structure. We have an opportunity to highlight the right ways to interact with the community. There are so many individuals and vendors who interact with the entire channel in a positive way. And I think we have a great chance to highlight both vendors and individual people why that works, why it's good for the community, and how to get value out of it without just trying to sell things to the community. And I think we are in a somewhat unique position to try and do that. And credit to Ashley, by the way, who initially talked about this idea a year or two ago that we've never moved and capitalized on. But I think we have a great chance to kind of show the light and be that guidance for how to interact with the community and get positive feelings in both directions from vendors and MSPs. And I'd like to really start along that path this year.
Amazing. Definitely vendors would love that guidance, I'm sure. So next we're going to have Kelvin. What are you up to?
Oh, so much. I think mostly the same as Topper, because of course we're in like the largest MSP community of the world, and that there is some parental responsibility that we have to communities. A lot of what you see, especially on Reddit, you also see it a bit on MSPGeek, and even in the cyberbrain communities now. There are a lot of people that believe that there are two sides in the MSP world. There's the vendor side and there's the MSP side, and everyone is against each other somehow. It's even joked that vendors are the dark side. I think our target that we need to have as community leaders, as community people, as community members, is to make sure we remove that false comparison that any vendor is against us and any influence by a vendor is bad. I mean, look at this session right now. This is a great way to highlight community. Yes, sure, it is focused on community leadership at this moment, but community leadership is done by everyone who is involved in the community. Look at everyone in the chat right now. I'm seeing people that I've met at events or that have become good friends of mine. Those people are just as much a leader in our communities as we are, and we should celebrate them too. We should celebrate the people inside of our community and make sure that no matter where they're from, if they are a vendor, if they are a MSP, or even if they're internal IT and just love hearing or reading about MSP life, we should all have them involved as much as possible.
Yes, those are great points. And also, we hope the celebration is also about the community participants as well. And that's why we'll be giving out prizes at the end. And hopefully you'll find this content very useful. Next, Mendy, why don't you tell us a bit?
What's coming in 2025? I mean, that's obviously MSPGeekCon is the first thing that pops into mind. It's interesting because there's a lot of people here that overlap communities. Like Ashley, Kelvin are on multiple communities, including MSPGeek board. And I think that as we evolve independently, we'll see the communities coming together more in alignment. What Kelvin was just talking about is something that basically is the theme of MSPGeekCon, the one team, one mission, the idea of getting behind a common goal to achieve that goal. That's really what the conference is all about this year, and it's really what I'm hoping we can accomplish as well in the community on a higher level, is to showcase, like, I think somebody mentioned, Mikey mentioned in chat, something like there are vendors who engage with the community, and there are vendors who almost use the community essentially. And I think what we want to try to do is educate how engaging with the community offers better outcomes than using the community. You get the same outcome, but you get a better, more quality outcome. And like, we want to educate the vendors that, but we also want to educate the MSPs to give the vendor a chance. So again, focusing on removing the silos, essentially breaking that down, aligning around a common goal, and moving things forward. That's going to be a big focus on 2025. And we've got a lot of initiatives that are going to be that we've already started to work on and are going to be coming out or announced coming soon in this regard. So MSPGeekCon obviously is one of them. Ticket sales for MSPGeekCon opens up February 1st for attendees. Our focus for the conference is going to be less around the specific technical, improving technical skills, and more around the conference for improving the technician as a person. So where they want to go in their journey, they want to be account managers, they want to be team leaders, VCIOs. Like we have sessions for all of that. You know, we've instituted Tuesday Hangout, which is in very early stages, but every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we have an open Hangout for the community. Everyone can come in and hang out. And we're building towards a structure there where we have, I can't say facilitated because it's mostly going to be community driven talks that are given during that time, and it's open to everyone, vendors to talk, it's open to members to talk, and so on and so forth. So we're really pushing that, removing silos, that better together, one team, one mission, and we're trying to get more collaboration even with other communities as well, to try to, you know, circle around that message and get it done.
Perfect. This seems like a great place to start, having all you guys here together for collaboration, and definitely agree with a lot of those points that you're making about the vendor community participant relationship. So really looking forward to seeing how that evolves, and also very much looking forward to going to MSPGeek for the first time this year. And I think Jonathan has a few surprises for the end of the webinar about MSPGeek, I hope. So next, we'll hear from Ashley. She's everywhere as well.
Hey, can you hear me all right? I got back on my computer now. I think for my goals for 2025, I mean, like they're the same kind of like of the goals of 2024. Really centralizing the decentralized and decentralizing the centralized when it comes to community, like figuring out what it is that people are needing, encouraging people to think about those needs, not from their perspective of like how they're trying to serve. This is reiteration of everything people said, but really coming back to those needs and rethinking that playbook. So like simply understanding what different communities have different values, why people go there. You know, like, is it like a technical grassroots type of thing? Those have a very different approach or a very different strategy than a lot of others. And so using things like the MSPKB, which is like a docs, like docs.themspkb.com, really trying to help everybody understand the market a little bit more, what they're looking for. Redefine maybe what that understanding of what community means, because it means different things to different people. Sometimes people are like an online crowd and they are going to have certain types of needs, and then other people are less of an online crowd. And if you try to put all of those things together, you're going to end up with a really confusing person that kind of conflicts everything. So I'm rambling a bunch, but basically my ideas are like centralizing the understanding and kind of bringing a community model to understanding MSP personas, I guess.
Thank you.
Wayne, take it away.
No, thank you. That was great. Marvin B., how about, do you want to share your update?
So here's what I'm looking to do in 2025, and that's just basically to keep expanding on what I've been doing with the podcast in supporting and highlighting all of the great other communities out there, trying to help other MSPs grow their business. And sometimes growth isn't always about getting bigger or getting acquired. Sometimes it's growing with your customers and understanding how to, deal with good customer retention and customer engagement. I want to highlight also what Kelvin said about the MSP vendor relations. We need to do a better job of that. And while everybody talks community, everybody talks about better partnerships, there seems to be this competition that is alienating each other. We don't need to do that. Community is big enough. Our channel is big enough for all of us to work together. And, it goes the same for large versus small MSPs. There's a segment of customers out there that are being left behind that still need support. So those are the things that I want to do. And of course, we'll always try to tackle all the topics out there, whether it's AI, cybersecurity, growth, all of those things. It's something that we can do. So my job, as I see it, is to support everybody out there and highlight what's going on good.
That's great. Violet, you're up.
Okay, so now we'll just leave the community on the chat with any questions you have for the different panelists that we have here. And then it will be time to say goodbye to our panelists and head on to session 2.
Well, I'm just going to break into chat as I always do. I've always got that skeleton key to chat. I wanted to say there aren't a whole lot of questions. Everything I'm seeing in here, aside from you guys interacting with the audience so far, are words of support for the community. And I think that's something that's worth. Oh, Mr. Jonathan Crow. I mean, I almost wanted to put this up. I didn't realize it was yours. Of course, you're blown away by the community. You're in the middle of it all the time. Let's see if we can find something else here that people should see. Oh, hey, Mr. Drew Hackworth. Check this out. We have the greatest communities, the best communities. Oh, come on, my friend. We can't do that right now. You got me. That was like being Rick-rolled. But actually, that was a very good point. I guess what I'm getting at is there isn't a whole lot here with regards to question what's going on. I think that's because how well everyone communicates and how everyone collaborates in this community. I don't think there's a single person here that hasn't worked with another person here. I'm just going to take a question for the audience for myself. I hope you guys don't mind. Question for Matt Fox. What is this? Why did you pull this together in less than a week? It was a little bit more than a week. I believe it was 2.5 weeks. And this actually came from Violet and a conversation we had in one morning about doing a webinar and me always wanting to go further than the webinar. And that's why we're all here. And you know what? It's 1:34. So I think it's time to let this first session wrap and get into some really deep discussion. We're going to be talking about the benefits of community, what you get from what you put in, and what collaboration and participation in the community looks like. So I've always wanted to do this. Please bear with me. A little bit of the kid from the 80s, 1980s Saturday morning. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi there. My name's Doug Milburn. I'm co-founder and president of 45 Drives. So for those of you who aren't familiar with 45 Drives, we're known for large storage systems and now virtual computing systems. All runs in open source. And we earn our living by selling to enterprise mainly. And secondarily, we have a wonderful, fun business that we do in home labs as well. So why am I talking to you guys, the MSP community, and sponsoring this event? Really simple. We've realized that our enterprise channels are not that convenient for our MSP customers. So we've set up something called 45 Professional, which is a division that's dedicated to make life really, really easy and simple for your world. All that said, I'll admit we don't know what we're doing as well as we'd like to. Thus, we're participating, we're sponsoring, we're participating, and want to learn from you guys. And it's going to be a process, but at the end of it, we're going to have something that's really great, I hope, and if you guys accept us and accept what we're doing. So anyway, I hope you have a really, really great event, and thank you for letting us sponsor and participate.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt Mullen. I'm the Director of Social Media here at Ninja One. And I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you all for coming here and taking time out of your day, which I know is extremely busy, and being a part of the Community Appreciation Day that we have going on. We wanted to be a part of this because we know how valuable the community can be for all of you out there. So whether you're really heavily involved in all of the community efforts that are going on today and ongoing, or you're just popping in every now and then, it all is relevant and it's adding value to your community. And that's why we wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your time. And we truly do appreciate you guys being here today.
That was awesome. And now I'm going to disappear because I'm not a part of this.
So Jonathan, I'll let you welcome everyone since you're new on the screen here.
Oh, well, thanks, Violet. Man, what a great message. Yes, from Matt, my colleague, but really more just the 45 Drives founder. I just thought that was a great message. So very cool. And Violet, thank you again for spearheading this and getting us involved. And so cool to see everybody here in the chat, all the familiar faces and everything. We got some new ones here. So we've got Kelvin and Marvin and Mendy are joining from the last session. We also have some new folks. And Dan, we'll start with you, the fearless leader of Tech Runner IT. Dan, why don't you say a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kick it over to your team.
I'm Dan Komis. I am the owner and founder of TechRunner IT. We're a small business focused MSP on Long Island. We recently celebrated 17 years in business. And I'm lucky enough to have with us today two of our fantastic team members.
Yeah. So Jake and Chris, why don't you, Chris, let's start with you. No offense, Jake. Jake will come up to you afterward. But Chris, why don't you say a little bit about yourself and your role at TechRunner? Oh, sorry, bud. You're on mute.
There we go. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Yeah, my name is Chris. I've been with TechRunner for about 5 years now. I think almost coming close to 5 years. I'm the lead service technician for the company. I pretty much handle all on-site visits, any type of hands-on work, and yeah, that's pretty much my role with the company.
Awesome. How about you, Jake?
Hey, my name's Jake. So I'm the technical services manager. I guess my primary role is just to make sure everything's on track, resources are where they need to be, and yeah, that's basically my day. Just keeping everyone busy.
Awesome. Well, why did we want to get? Why were we very excited to be able to get Dan and then Jake and Chris all here? It's because as part of the community, like Kelvin had just pointed out, yeah, I mean, you've got vendors, heaven forbid, and you also have all these other people who are very outspoken and putting things together. They have their podcasts and everything. None of this would be even around if it wasn't for the community itself, right? And so we knew Violet, right? We knew when we were putting this event together, we wanted to have a session where we could talk about, okay, yes, here's the list of like, here are all the things you can be taking advantage of. But really, when it comes down to it, let's have some folks on who can talk about how they've leveraged the community and what folks watching, if they're just getting into it, or maybe they've been watching kind of on the sidelines for a while, how can they practically actually walk away from this and say, okay, here's at least one thing I can do to start taking better advantage of the community. Anything else you want to say, Violet, for like the thought behind this session, what we're going to cover?
No, I think you've covered it all, but just let me know when we will ask our question.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do it. Let's I know this is a session too where the idea of, okay, how can you take advantage of the community, especially when you're busy throughout your day, right? And I think some things we're going to touch on, which was actually questions brought up in the chat already. How do you convince your boss that you going to a conference or you reaching out and engaging in community efforts is worthwhile? Is that something that is actually going to contribute to your work versus just taking your attention away? You know, what are some objections? What are some hurdles that people have? And what are some suggestions from the folks who have actually dealt with those firsthand? How can you address those? And so, Dan, let's start with you. Like, I would love, before kicking it over to Kelvin and Marvin and Mendy here, how have you kind of gotten involved, and what are some of the things that you've gotten from the community?
Well, 10,000-foot view, it's about establishing real relationships with people and building trust and identifying people who you can collaborate with some capacity. The way we really started our community activity or the getting value out was, you know, through having clients that have offices in other areas of the country, right? So we're based in the Eastern Seaboard. So if we have a client with an office in California, we reach out and say, hey, who is in the San Francisco area? Can anybody help us in the event? You know, we have a client building an office, blah, blah, blah. So start talking to people. Who's there? You know, you get a couple of responses back. Yeah, I have a great team here. Okay, now you go back and forth a few times. You start understanding what their capabilities are. You start chatting a little bit. You get on a video call, so you get to know the person a little bit. And then now all of a sudden, we've created this relationship where we have a resource 3,000 miles away, and they now have a resource 3,000 miles away. And we've done that in San Francisco, in Southern Florida, in Pittsburgh, in New England, in Cleveland, in Texas. So, you know, just a little outreach with an ask and an open mind to meet and get to know somebody has extended our reach throughout the country and help us serve our clients over there.
That's awesome. And well, Kelvin, Mendy, Marvin, you want to jump in with, of course, you've got your own involvement, but now being on the side of really hosting these spaces and being the ones who are putting these resources and everything together, what you're hoping to provide for folks in a real practical day-to-day way.
I'll go first because my name was mentioned first, I guess. I don't want to steal your thunder, Mendy. I saw your lips moving in a manner like you were about to rant.
It's okay, Kelvin. I can always improve whatever you put out.
All right, thank you. So the biggest thing that I want to make sure people take away from here is that you don't have to fully immerse yourself in community and be like, oh, look at me being a part of this community. The best people that I've spoken to are lurkers, are people that are just reading the community all the time. They are taking so many good lessons from just seeing what other people are saying. And they might not want to engage either because they're fearful or they're just not that type of person. But having people inside of your community that are just following what you're saying can already spread knowledge so much, because this person will in real life tell another MSP or tell his colleague about it, and his colleague will start engaging in the community. So I think that's the biggest thing that people really need to realize, that you don't have to completely suddenly be a community hippie. It doesn't have to be a commune. It can be just a community. You can just listen to everything and ingest it and make sure that you learn new lessons every day by reading about them. And one of the things that I've spoken about, we did a little session a couple of days ago with the people on here, and we were talking about how people are getting value from communities. And what I see a lot is someone replies on a message and just DM someone else like, oh, we do this a little bit different here internally. Let me DM you with our secret sauce, because our sales process looks like this and that. And it's a little bit like they're not entirely sure if they want to share it publicly, but they still get involved with everyone else.
I guess
so
I'll go next.
Feel free to improve on that, Mendy.
Yeah, go for it, Mendy.
I guess I'll go next. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, right? There are lurkers in the community, and it may feel like you're not really part of it, which is something that I want to call out. Like the mindset that you feel as a lurker, like, oh, I don't really engage, I don't really do that. Like, even as someone who is lurking, like Kelvin said, you are actually part of the community. What I would ask in terms of helping the community is making sure that you do tell people about it, right? Like, don't just keep it to yourself. Right? If it is something that you learned from MS, like, give credit where credit's due. I mean, that's just simple anyways in anything that you do, right? So if it's someone that you spoke with on the community that helped you out and you're relaying that to somebody else, a coworker or whatever, just mention where it's from. You don't have to engage in public. There is a level of fear, and it is difficult to break into like an ongoing conversation. But if you are like getting something from watching or reading that, and you're using it or telling other people about it, then please tell them where you got it from, and that way it does help drive the community. One of the things that struck me as Dan was talking about some of the value that you get, Dan, that your team gets out of MSPGeek is like, I still remember when I first joined community, it was like 1,500 people, the MSPGeek community at the time, called Lab Tech Geek. We used to yell, so to speak, at the people who were coming in from IRC. Like, this is so long ago that we were still on IRC chat. And we had a bridge set up between IRC and Slack. And we had to tell people, like, push them into coming into Slack to get them off IRC. And today, like, we're 18, 19, 20,000 people, I think, just in Slack alone. And we're crossing Discord as well. And the growth is like crazy. And so for me, like, that's very surreal. So like I'm still back in the day when I first joined, and I was looking for specifically like how to do something with ConnectWise, Automate, or at LabTech at the time, and Autotask, which is the PSA that we were using. And ConnectWise sent me to LabTech Geek and said, ask them, they'll help you out. And I had no idea like who are these people? I don't like, am I supposed to just ask a question? Like, how do I engage? Like, this is very new to me. And it very quickly became well, like I had to push through that discomfort of asking first, but like the reception that I got was very welcoming, and it very quickly became a significant part of my life where now I'm not like, my first place to go to ask a question is now MSPGeek, you know, or was LabTech Geek, and now something comes up and I just post it. And like, as a tech, you have these things you go through, like, oh, I have this problem I have to figure out. Let me start some research. Maybe I'll reach out to support, ask the guy next to me. Like, talking on LabTech Geek became part of that integral resource. I would often go to LabTech Geek, I'd post the question, or MSPGeek, I'd post the question, and then I'd immediately start the rest of my process, research, whatever. By the time I'm done, I'd go back and see if anyone's answered. Usually somebody has. Usually the answer would be similar to, or close to, or something that would help me along with my research. I'd compare, like, basically correlate my research with the answer. And that was basically my engagement. It's not something that you don't have to get in, like, embedded full time. This doesn't have to take over your job. It just became another resource where you just post a question. Like, worst case scenario, nobody answered you. And then so what? You know, like, it doesn't hurt to try. So for me, like, the resource that it became very quickly was very valuable to me. And when I first joined, like, this is the thing that still, like, is mind-boggling to me. When I first joined LabTech Geek, I knew what PowerShell was. I could not write it. I could barely understand it. I would tell clients, like, oh, I can't help you with your database. I can fix it if it's broken, but I'm not a database admin. Like, don't talk to me about querying or what the data is inside. Like, that's not me. Within a month of interacting on LabTech Geek, I was writing SQL queries for Automate for LabTech. And within 2-3 months, I was learning PowerShell and using PowerShell. And today, somebody mentioned an IT glue to Hudo migration script. It was partially written by me. I spent a year rewriting it. Like, the level of growth that I've gotten, and it was absolutely from the community, from the engagement, is just mind-boggling. So there's just so much value that you can take. And I always, like I said, I always consider myself, it feels very surreal to look back and be like, yeah, I'm CEO of MSPGeek. Like, what does that even mean? You know, like, I'm not. I just participate on the community, and I have a final say if something happens. But usually, ideally, the community self-polices, right? It's a community-driven community. It's community moderated and everything like that. So that's all I have to say on that.
Well, I will say, Mendy, you're an amazing steward for that, because you've seen, like, you've gotten the value from it. You've had that experience, that journey through it, and you are so passionate about helping others have that journey too. So
yeah.
It may be surreal,
I guess I would
but
say, like,
it's a good choice.
That's what I would like to see people getting out of it, is the same value that I got. Like, I'd like people to see what that was and be able to get that same value, which is probably what drives my passion and desire to get to have people have that.
Well, you know, there's one comment that came up about burnout, and I wanted to address it really quickly, because I think it's important, right? And we were probably, I mean, all of us either are feeling it now or have felt it at some point to some degree in our careers, right? And I think bringing it up in this context, it's kind of like, well, you know, I'd love to contribute to the community, but burned out, you know, so busy with things. And I guess I wanted to bring it up, like, Mendy, you obviously got a ton of technical, like, you have a question, go ask. Like, I think this, I'll attribute this to Dean in the chat here. I think the fastest way to get an answer on either Reddit or MSPGeek or other places is not to ask a question, but submit, like, a wrong answer. But you know, you have a technical thing that you're trying to figure out, and so it can really help you in a very concrete way that way. Another way, though, I see these conversations happen all the time where people are just letting, like, just reaching out and just saying, like, hey, I'm having a hard time with, like, a softer skill thing. You know, there's something with my career, or there's just something with my, you know, I'm having a hard time right now, guys. And the amount of people who come back out and encourage folks, I think there is like another element that you can, I guess what I wanted to bring up was it's awesome that people want to contribute, and they should. That's the only way communities happen. But I think it's also key to look at them as these are ways you're filling up your bucket. I've got 2 young kids, so I'm just going to be juvenile about it. But I mean, you can find the right people in the right places that actually give you that sustenance in a way, you know? And then we all go through periods in our lives where like things are busier or harder and other times and easier than others. And we can remember that, and we can be the ones giving back when we can, but don't beat yourself up about like getting things from that technically, but also like on a personal level. That's what's just so amazing about this whole place, and everybody here on the screen, like everyone's just so genuine about wanting to give back.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm going to just break into chat really quickly as an honorary member of Tech Runner IT, if you see on the shirt right here, and address burnout really quickly, because I think that we should do something to talk about burnout in a longer form conversation in the near future. But I also want to take the chance to publicly thank Dan, Chris, and Jake. Because when I was dealing with burnout last year, who brought me into their office? Who took me to pizza?
Gladly. Us, gladly.
That's community.
It was a great time.
At the same time, both Kelvin and Ashley had tons of conversations with me, get me back into the community and working. And I'm going to say time and time again, Marvin B's mere presence. The man is a pillar. Even looking at me right now on my camera, I feel special. All right, guys, get back to your thing. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I think Violet, you had a question you wanted to ask, right?
Yeah, so I just wanted to pop on and ask Jake and Chris a bit more about your experience using the community as technicians and employees of a business, and like what channels you go to, how you feel a part of the community, and where you're getting your resources from. Like that could be a specific community, an event, etc.
Yeah. So,
Patrick.
Okay. Yeah. So when you're working with a small business and you're working with the same team every day, it's easy to get caught in kind of a bubble of familiar processes and just routines, I guess. So when you go to a community event like MSPGeek, for example, it's a really great way to expose yourself to new ideas and perspectives and even technologies that you haven't really even considered or wouldn't consider. So it really breaks out your access to just information, I guess. And I think it's a great way, and it definitely helps if we go back to burnout. It helps just kind of telling yourself that there's more than just your team and your struggles in the group, that everybody's doing the same thing, right? So I think that's probably the best benefit I've found from the community. MSPGeek was great, and I recommend going.
Amazing.
You know, I'm going to piggyback off of what Jake said. So I attended MSPGeek 2 years ago. At this point, that was my first conference. I came into this industry as a 30-year-old retail manager with pretty much self-taught knowledge. And I had a wicked sense of imposter syndrome coming into this first conference. And, you get there, you start meeting people, you get to, meet individuals from all different facets of the community, whether they're owners, employees, vendors for products that we use, vendors for products that we don't use. But you get to meet all these people, and that nervousness and that uneasy feeling that you felt originally quickly went away. And you get to, see people from, all different walks of life, younger, older, different career backgrounds, all in the same place for the same thing. And it kind of helps you realize, like, you're in the right place. One thing that really solidified it was, I remember I attended the Tech Bar After Dark, the live recording of it. And as soon as they busted out the Nerf guns and started handing out adult beverages, I knew I was with my kind of people. So it was great.
Just a quick point there. That is a thing, right? Like I refer to Tech Runner as a pirate ship, but I think the MSP industry in general, it's just a whole bunch of pirate ships sailing the seas, right? But we're all in the same waters. For the most part, people are trying to get to the same place and really help each other. And our motto is same team, and like that's the through line through all these communities, right? Mendy's rising tides. It's Kelvin Cyber Drain. That's selfish, but it's just these. and what Marvin's doing with the podcast, like there's just such a natural like gravity, like a magnetic north to help one another, because I think that's what drove a lot of us to start these businesses, to work in this industry is to help other people. You put us all together, you know, set the sails, catch the winds. Let's go.
So Dan, are you telling me though, there's zero amount of, I don't know, hesitation? Like you're worried, like, are my guys going to get like poached? Are they going to get too good for what I'm doing? Are they going to come back? Is this going to like be detrimental to me somehow? Are they going to spend too much time on these things?
Look, you know, every day you're in a relationship with anybody, you're working to earn the next day with those people. And if it's professional, you know, someone can always come along and say, hey, I have this pirate ship full of money. You know, you should get on my ship. I have more. But, you know, my attitude has always been like, have enough gold for everybody and keep everybody fed. And then, you know, try and do the things that I would want if I was an employee, right? Like we try and do, you know, when we were in the office together all the time, buy lunch on Friday, right? Get some time, hang out. I'm a big hot sauce guy, so we have hot sauce so we'd have all these sauces, and then that turned into Jake bringing us some sauces one day, or Chris is bringing in sauce. So like we try different things, just creating this whole entire other environment where we have all these other things invested in it, more than just 8:30, 5 o'clock, ticket, close. I don't want to live like that, and I certainly don't want to build an environment where people feel like they're living that way. So, you know, we do summer retreats now. You know, we rented a house on the lake and a boat and had all kinds of fun this summer. We had Christmas parties. We built keyboards. Like, you know, it's all in service of everybody enjoying their every day that they have. We all have to work. We all have to earn, and like not every minute of every day is going to be the best. But if you create a good environment for people, one that you'd want to be in, you know, for us, it's turned into something that people want to be a part of, that I'm incredibly grateful and proud of. And, you know, it's just by having that attitude, like I said, that a lot of people in this industry carry and have, and people being generous with their time and energy, like Kelvin, like Marvin, like Mendy, and everybody else. We definitely benefit from it. And I'm grateful for where we're at.
This is definitely a strange, amazing armada of ships, I gotta say.
It's really about building a miniature community within the workforce, right? And so like the community itself, like you have to make, or I guess you have to make them want to be a part of that community. And so that it's not about, you know, them getting skills for the next job up or whatever. Like it's about the relationship and their engagement. Like that's really what it is. So I really appreciate your answer, Dan. Thank you.
Hey,
thank you for putting it in one sentence, Mendy.
You're welcome.
Marvin, Uncle Marv, I wanted to get your take on. Yeah, I wanted to get your take on this, and also steer you into a little bit of a different direction. First of all, if you have any takes on this, but then my follow up is going to be how the community, how you've seen it be a resource for working with vendors. I saw someone in the chat saying like, man, the MSP subreddit has changed the way we can interact with vendors, and maybe that's applying some heat to them in a constructive way. I don't know. But yeah, any thoughts on that, and how you would recommend people leveraging the community?
All right. Well, I'll go back first and talk about the involvement and investment in community. The one question you had started to ask about, you know, do you really have time to go to conferences and events and stuff? And for the first 14 years of my business career, I didn't think I had the time. And just like with anything in life, if it's important to you, you'll figure out a way to make the time and make it fit. And the time that, you know, I had thought I was doing my business great, I had a couple of techs and I was supporting clients, but it wasn't until I got involved with a community, and it was a podcast community at that time, that started to teach me about the tools and resources. And I realized I could support more clients and more endpoints and really grow my business. And that was a reason for me to go, you know what? I need to be involved, and I need to figure out a way to give back. So that's kind of the catalyst for me. And I think with most people is that once you start to get, you need to start to give. And it's a two-way street. I still remember the first time I asked for something in the community, and it was about an access point, and somebody from a completely different city said, "Hey, I've got one for you. How long do you need it for?" And we drove like 20 miles to meet each other, gave me an access point, and that was huge for me. So I still remember that. I actually leave it as a pop-up on my calendar of reminders, just so that I know. May 18th, 2016, that happened with all of that. The other thing is, once you start to make time for these events, you realize that you have kind of like a informal peer group. You're seeing these people, you're meeting these people, you're engaging, they're giving you help, you're giving them help, and most of the time you're not paying for it, unless you're paying for travel to get to the conference and stuff like that. But this becomes your secondary family in a sense, especially when it relates to business. So that's what I would say to that. Your question about how do we become a better resource to work with vendors, or how do we help vendors work with MSPs better? I think that all of the communities are really trying to figure that out, and they're all coming at it from a different point of view. The way that I come at it is I want to support, I want to promote, I want to encourage the vendors that are doing it right and hold them up as a example to other vendors and say, look, these are the vendors that get us. These are the vendors that are helping us grow our business. Every vendor should be doing that. It shouldn't always be just about the money or market share. That's just my opinion. And some of those vendors are going to probably, want to slap me around a bit. But I find that I do better in business when I'm happy with the people that I'm working with, whether it's my employees, my colleagues, or my vendors. And these communities are a resource where we can actually have back and forth discussion. And they don't always have to be, happy, happy, joy, joy. We can have, some discourse as to what's working and what's not working, because that's the only way we're going to get better is if we find out that something's not working, how do we turn it around, fix it, make it right?
Man, thank you for that, Marvin. Mendy and Calvin, because of your involvement with, these larger, some of the biggest communities out there for MSPs, I mean, do you think through actively, and maybe folks in the chat can chime in too, I think of it almost like, well, the role the government's supposed to play, and like you have big corporations, right? We have big vendors, and yeah, I mean, we have a lot of them that really do, like, on a personal level, just want to help people and want to do the right thing. At the same time, having a voice that is bigger than a single individual's could be really helpful, right? And necessary in some ways. And so I'm just curious, like, any thoughts, like how you guys think about that, and if there's anything that you others out there think that the MSP community at large should be doing differently in that regard.
I'll go first because Kelvin went first last time. Yeah, I mean, one of our so like the community formed around people looking to accomplish like a specific goal, right? Like for LabTechGeek specifically, our community, that's how we were created. The origin story of LabTechGeek actually was Greg Burek is the original creator of the LabTech platform, was talking to Martin Kier, our founder, at a conference, and they were discussing a problem that that LabTech had, and Greg, who cares more about the product working, I guess, than any official process, was like, here, I'll just code something real quick for you, and handed it off to Martin, or something along those lines. It was a really quick workaround or something like that he just like banged out as a developer does, off the cuff, and that got shared, and it got shared and shared and shared, and eventually like everyone started coming together because they were sharing information in one place, and that basically formed LabTechGeek at the time. And it's interesting because like that's the community coming together based off a shared need, right? As we grew, we started seeing something that like everyone knows, but they don't really, it's hard to see in action, was that knowledge is power. And what we were able to do is we were able to start correlating collective feedback from across the globe around a specific thing that was happening. And so like now, when someone has a problem, within minutes, we can validate, is it a recurring issue? Is it a bug? Or is this a configuration problem on their end, right? Like something that would normally take support a significant amount of time to go back and forth with, and would also, by the way, annoy the technician and the support guy and the vendor, like depending on their motivation and when they got in touch and if they got in touch and what time they called, like it wouldn't necessarily be easy to bang out. But now we can go back to the vendor and say, hey, when we do XYZ, this happens. We've confirmed it on 15 different versions or installs of this version. Like we know it's happening here. It doesn't happen on this version here. Like, and they have a full write-up. And so now we can go straight to the vendor with that knowledge and that shared knowledge, and like immediately push that ticket to the next level where it has to be fixed. And we started taking like an active role doing that. Like it was happening organically because the people were just talking to each other and they'd go to support or whatever. But like and kudos to ConnectWise, honestly, who was first engaging like significantly with the community. They weren't the first to engage the community, but they were the first engaging significantly with the community, or one of the first maybe. I don't know if Avik was on there or not, but whatever. With ConnectWise, like we were actively bringing like the LabTechGeek admins were surfacing those issues up to the vendor. And something that we've always wanted to do is try to like package that up, right? Like we have this community now. Like I said, it's got significant more members than we had before. It's not just about one product anymore. There's channels for almost every product in the MSP stack exists as a channel in LabTech in MSPGeek right now. And one of the things that we're hoping to accomplish at some point, our longer term goals, it would be to have a stronger relationship with the vendors so that we could surface up and bring these kinds of issues, like, and not just necessarily when things are broken, but also improvement, like feature requests that would be significantly helpful, challenges that MSPs are facing that could be solved by something that they're doing or something that they can change. We want to bring that up. We want to establish that relationship with vendors and make that official beyond just that one, pilot that we had, so to speak, with ConnectWise for that brief period of time. So that's my thoughts on like how we can leverage that.
I guess this will come from the vendor side, and I know maybe it's not the right question, but just wondering, what is the best way to get your, like, say that's what you want your users to do, where do you start in kind of fostering that, like getting them to engage with you on those channels for?
Yeah. So it's difficult because there are several challenges that are going on. One of them is the challenge that the vendors are already experiencing themselves, is that your clients don't like talking to you, right? Whether it's because they don't like talking to you or it's because they don't have the time to do it, right? But it's difficult, and you can tell me if it's otherwise for you, but it's usually difficult to get feedback from the MSP. Unless the MSP has reached a certain, I don't know, maybe evolved status or whatever you want to call it, where they have an active partnership and they're actively engaging, most MSPs don't engage actively with the vendor. They sign the contract, they use the product, and unless something goes horribly wrong, you never hear from them again, right? And so one of the things that we have to do is facilitate a way to get that feedback. The best place to do it is like what we saw in the early days of LabTechGeek would be to interact and engage on the community channel. Like every vendor who's a partner of MSPGeek has a channel, a V- to indicate that they're a vendor. So there's a V- Ninja 1, there's a V- Domotz, and so on and so forth. So in that channel would be the best way to engage. Now that engagement has to come from both sides. The MSPs have to be engaging as well, which is it's a challenge because, like I said, they don't have the time to, or they don't like to do that. A lot of it comes down to them not understanding the power behind their engagement. It's just like in your personal life, if you have an experience, you may or may not leave feedback for the person who delivered whatever it is, or the service that you use. You may not leave feedback because, like, what's the point? Nobody pays attention to that anyways. Well, that's actually the exact feedback we're looking for, that people are paying attention to, that we want, right? And so, like, we have to overcome that bias and get people to engage in the channel. And then the second thing is that the facilitation of that, it requires time. And so right now, currently, we're all volunteer, and even still today, unpaid positions at MSPGeek, right? So like, it's all about like, we all have full-time jobs doing other stuff. So we have to find that time and space, or a mechanism that drives my ideal is the self-driven facilitation that occurs, right? Like if the community doing it themselves. If we can have everything either automated or pushed organically, it means less overhead time, which is better for, in my opinion. So that's the challenges that we have right now. But the answer to your question is literally like wherever the engagement is happening is going to be the best case scenario. And ideally, in my case, that means that the community channel for each vendor has that engagement.
All right, folks, the fox has arrived. You know what that means, right?
I talk too much. That's what that means.
Oh, Mendy. I love our conversations. Don't you ever say that again. I did, however, want to keep things moving along because we've got session 3 coming up in just a couple of minutes, and the panel consists of some of my favorite marketing and business growth and sales specialists in the space, and they got money to make, so I don't want to hold them up. Does anyone have any final comments they'd like to leave us at session 2 off before I go to our next commercial break?
I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much for participating in this session. You've provided so much valuable content now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chris, Jake, Dan, thank you so much for being here today. Marvin, you know how I feel about you, the man. Mendy, as always, my guy. We're going to have an ice cream in May. And Kelvin Tegelar, my friend from overseas, Mr. Stroop Waffle. I think it's time that I bid you all. No, I'm not bidding anyone adieu. You guys get out of here. I'm going to run a commercial.
Thank you so much for being here today. We have amazing attendees. We have amazing vendors here today that we've partnered with, and we're very excited that you're here. I'm Jace from Domotz. We understand how important the community is. I've been on both sides of it at an MSP, now at Domotz and other vendors, and we really wanted to join this event and orchestrate this event because we have kind of always been a part of the community, but we're now trying to really show we want to invest in the community. We want to be a part of it. We want to contribute. We want to help you be successful. So we've brought together amazing vendors here today to learn from and to discuss and to engage with. And we hope that it is very beneficial to you. And we hope that we can continue to have these discussions with you both online at events like this, on different forums, and in-person events as well. Again, we hope that you have an amazing webinar, and don't be a stranger. We will talk to you soon.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Dean from Empath. And just thank you so much for being a part of this amazing community and for showing up today to celebrate it. I would not have my career if it was not for this community, so I appreciate all of you. If you want to bring your voice to the community, consider submitting to speak at RejectionCon. We're taking submissions up until the 21st of February, and it's your chance. If you've never spoken before, never shared your excellence with the community, submit over there. We'll take you. We want to hear from you. All the proceeds are going directly to the Rural Tech Fund to help add technology equity to classrooms all over the country for little kids that don't have it. And that means someday they'll be part of our community. How cool is that? I hope to see you there, everybody. Take care.
That was such a nice message from Dean. And I hope that everyone has an opportunity to go ahead and check out Empath's Rejection Con when it makes it here later this year. Jonathan, you've done a lot of talking. Let me do some hellos here. Paul Green is hanging out in the back of his car. It's just a great shot. I love it. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm so good, thank you. This is so showbiz of me, so I must apologize for being in the car. My kid goes to like drama school. She's an actor 3 nights a week, and so it's dark, it's wet. I'm sat in a little English town called Berkhamsted, which no one outside of the UK has ever heard of. It's actually quite nice, except it's dark and it's wet. So for the next 45 minutes, you've got me in the car. There we go.
Believe it or not, I actually saw the Specials play live there in 1979.
You did not?
No, I was born in 81. That was a gigantic lie.
I was going to say.
Couldn't help it. Jennifer, how are you doing today? It's so
I am good. I'm super thankful that Paul is dark because I'm still playing with the lighting in my new office and I'm not happy with it. But in comparison, it's much lighter than Paul's background. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to see you. And I saved Kevin. It's not the best for last or anything like that. But because Kevin, Jonathan, and I were like the three amigos for a bit at the beginning of the pandemic. We had been working on content that revolved around community, and that was about 5 years ago. So there's just a nice little mini reunion going on today. And Kev, man, how are things going in Philly? How you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm actually going to use this opportunity for a plug. I checked my mail this morning, and I actually got a book from Paul Green, and it looks incredible. So I believe I've heard it's on Amazon right now. So talk about community, the intersect of all these great personalities that are on here. Couldn't have been better timing.
Yeah, Kevin, this is not about promoting or anything like that, but put it on screen again. I want to see it. I think people should see the book.
This is actually what Paul's been doing. He's been driving around delivering all these books.
Yeah, I bribed Kevin's mailman. $50 that cost me.
I told Paul there's so many stamps on it. It looks like it's from the North Pole. I thought it was like a late Christmas gift.
No, it's from the town that he just mentioned. It's
Denver. Where we have like 20 people just sitting stamping mail. That's all they do here.
That's their main export is mail. It's amazing.
Exactly that, yeah.
They have a beautiful community, and it's a beautiful local community, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Now, I brought everyone here that works on the internet and does things with social and brings people into spaces for the sake of building business, and I decided to make everyone uncomfortable and bring it into the tangible world and talk a little bit about building a community from the MSP's perspective. Now, I worked at an MSP for the better part of a decade in New York City, so I've got a lot of really cool stories to share. But I'd like to start off with someone other than me because I hate hearing myself talk that much. Jonathan, did you have anything happen during the pandemic era or any time during... No, you know what? I'm just going to let you take it away. I'm talking to you like you're a participant, like you're Paul, Kevin, or Jennifer. What am I doing? You are the professional. I'm done.
Oh, boy, professional. Well, yeah, I sometimes do wonder what my job is and how I got lucky enough to be able to call this my job. But like you pointed out, so I joined Ninja at the end of 2018. I was brought on to be the content person. I was there doing the blog and all the gated assets and stuff, all the ebooks and everything. And then when the pandemic happened, we didn't have trade shows. And so we started doing this webinar series. And I think I had almost everybody, maybe not you, Paul, but we did Jennifer and Kevin on there and a bunch of other folks. And really, it was an awesome way to really just make connections with other vendors, other influencers and thought leaders and just, people themselves. And so that kind of planted the seed for really having community and that be a bigger role that I'm doing with Ninja One. You, Kevin, and I were really focused on, man, like there's all this marketing advice out there. It's hard to find examples where people are like, actually, here is a MSP company doing something really well. And so I think that kind of first got us together of like, man, there's a lot of noise out there and there's a lot of, the you can grow fast, the one secret, one key trick, silver bullet type of thing. And we just wanted to gather people like the ones here on the screen and others to figure out like, how can we share really actionable, practical advice and do it in a way that's really valuable.
Also, really, I hate to interrupt, but after years and years, almost a quarter of a century doing IT work and dealing with cybersecurity and network infrastructure and everything, sometimes people slip through. And we get Tom Lawrence on stage. I don't know how that happened, but he's here with us today. Tom, how are you doing?
I was doing wonderful, but then I realized there's a little dongle, and I know I set it somewhere. I don't know where.
All right, you go looking for you go look.
No, I don't need it right now, but it's in top of mind right now going, hey, I put this somewhere. Now I won't know where it is.
Well, we're going to have this conversation on community. And as I was saying, community takes many forms. A lot of what we've done is online, but there has to be some kind of offline component that we've each had to be able to execute, to be able to do the work and come up with the ideas that we have each day that we put out online virtually. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to start with the examples. I'm the one who worked at an MSP and did some of these crazy things, right? Everyone talks about the lunch and learn or lunch and learn. Yeah. Have you guys done a lunch and learn before for any reasons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of boring. They're bad. Everyone has a turkey sandwich or a roast beef sandwich, or you get the nice veggie sandwich and you watch a PowerPoint, you learn about maybe Office 365 or something, and then you leave. At least you had a snack, right? But you didn't really learn much. Not a lot happens. If you can turn that into an experience, if you can turn it into more than a transaction, which is what we typically see in those types of engagements, and make it something that people remember, the returns on that can be immeasurable. We had some really great lunch and learns at Valiant where we talked about O365, which is a painfully boring topic. Does anyone on this panel wish to dispute that? Anyone? I'm going to give you a chance. Anybody? Anybody? No. Okay. It was rough, but we ended up having people there for about 4 hours, laughing, crying, shouting at each other, giving each other hugs. And it was because we kept relating what we did in our jobs to how we accomplished the goals that we have in our lives, the real part of what we do every single day. And the outcome of those 4 hours during the pandemic was every time we'd walk by a building that we had someone at, they would come out and check in on us. They wanted to know how we were physically. Are we okay? Do we need anything? And over the course of, say, 2020 to 2023, there was a local community that was built in Midtown Manhattan of 20 to 30 businesses, each looking out for each other, each supporting each other, each making sure that the other one had what they need. Sometimes that's a conversation. Sometimes it's a hand with something. And sometimes those are leads to keep your business growing. It also led to multiple MSPs helping each other in Manhattan. If you're an MSP that specializes in media and you have someone coming to you with a dentistry kind of operation, you push them to the right people. And it led to a scenario where everyone was able to do what they needed. Everyone was able to function and accommodate their clients and pay their staffs on time throughout the pandemic. And to me, that was a big deal. And a lot of that came from the personal interactions that take place. Now, I haven't worked in Manhattan since 2023. If I walk down that same street, the same exact thing happens. And that's from those experiences and the deep connections that were made. And I guess what I'm getting at here as I'm ranting, and I realize I'll stop in a moment, is that Paul, Kevin, and Jennifer, you each have something that you do online that is unmistakably you. Jennifer is fearless with content. Kevin is Mr. Guardrails. He keeps me on guardrails more than anything else, which is amazing. And Paul, you have this sense of refinement to your delivery that is bar none. And I think that each one of those skills can be used in person to help facilitate communication between people. And that's really what I wanted to get into. So now that I've done my whole spiel and I've talked everyone off the webinar, actually, no, we're doing pretty good on your numbers. Nice. I wanted to know if there are any experiences that you had in person with individuals, any experiences in the real world, technical or not, that reflect what we're talking about here today and could be used as advice for MSP owners or others to begin forming a little bit more of a community or more communication, more communications between people in their immediate area.
Yeah, and actually, before I'll direct this, if you don't mind, Matt, I just wanted to give a little bit of a spin to that too.
Yeah.
You know, I always like being skeptical when it comes to marketing and stuff. And I know, you know, there's only so much time in the day. People have to focus on a marketing strategy and the things that they're actually going to do. And here we are talking about community and how the MSPs watching can actually leverage community tactics to helping their business growth, right? And so I'm interested from you guys, like, is this just a squishy, like, you know, thing, or is there actual tangible things that can fold into people's playbooks? Because you three are great about helping MSPs build out scalable marketing operations, right? And so I'm interested in like what kind of community activities can mean to you in that sense. And let's start with Jennifer. Yeah.
I say I'll jump in. So let me just give you a case in point. We had a flood in our basement a number of years ago. And as a result of that, a cough drop that was left on the ground got saturated. And I think every aunt from the entire county was invited to my basement for an all-you-can-eat buffet. And I knew who to call. There is an influencer, a mover and shaker. He happens to own a Chick-fil-A in our area, and he knows everybody. And so I called him and I'm like, hey, Ken, here's the situation. He's like, don't worry. I'm going to have, I don't even remember her name. I'm going to have Rachel call you. Rachel called me within 15 minutes. She came over, treated my basement repeatedly. And what I always teach my clients is that if Ken knows how to treat Jennifer's random ant problem, would Ken know who to call if I had a virus issue or a ransomware issue or that type of thing? So, and I don't know that Ken would in my industry, or in my geography, but in every community, there is a Ken, and Ken needs to know that you exist so that when somebody calls Ken and says, I don't really know, I've got this blue screen and it's counting down, and I think maybe I clicked the link I wasn't supposed to, what do I do? Ken will say, I have no idea, but Tom Lawrence knows. And so that's a very tangible example, not from the IT world, but from my real life, of an example like, does this work 100%? So who are those connectors in your community, and how do you create a relationship with them?
That was beautiful. Be the connective tissue. That's it.
Well, and know who the connectors are. That's the key one there. There's a book, older book. There's a new version of it. Tipping Point covers that, and they cover specifically the type of people who are the connectors. There's always that person, they know you, like you said, Ken. He owns a Chick-fil-A, but if you call him, he'll know someone who knows how to fix the basement, because they're good at connecting people. For me, it was this guy Gary. We actually did some math one day and stared at all the different people we had and clients, and how we get here, and go, wow. Gary's at the center of a lot of this. Gary seemed to just know everybody, and he connected with us because we did IT for Gary. Gary knew we were the people, and the most random groups of businesses. Gary, he ran a trucking company, but seemed to know anyone in any industry.
Everybody needs a Gary in their life.
Everyone needs a Gary. Everyone needs a Ken. And figure out who that is in your community.
What I need now is a Kevin. I heard you trying to say something, Kevin.
Yeah, I was going to say I think there's like a flawed misconception that you have to like start a community, and then you have to be like the overlord of that community, and it has to have like walls, and people have to congregate in it and spend all their time there. But I think it's just way more kind of transient than that. Like, really, I think you should focus on serving a community, and that community can look like any shape or size. I have like a personal example. I shared this with Jonathan, but when I was in Little League as a kid, there was this one team called Adams Roofing. And Adams Roofing, like, when you got the assignment for your team, you wanted to be on this team. Mr. Adams was the guy who sponsored the team, but he came to every game. He, like, if you hit a home run, he gave you $5. He had a pool, so he threw this party at the end of the year. In the 4th of July parade, you got to like ride in his truck. And so it was this incredible, he had a roofing company, and by the way, that roofing company is like still in business 30 years later and still has a baseball team. But he wasn't like trying to invite us to like talk about nail guns and shingles. He was like just kind of meeting everybody where they're at, being ultra supportive. He wasn't just writing a check. He was putting his time and energy into this community. And then what he got from that, obviously in return, was well worth it. And so I think that is kind of my takeaway from a lot of this is you don't have to there should be no sense of control here. I think it's about just kind of identifying who are these communities, how can you kind of identify their problems, and then serve them the best you can with the resources that you have.
Yeah, Kevin, you have another example too, with the farmers market too. Can you share that one real quick? Yeah. Yeah.
So we were just talking about kind of examples of like, if I, being an MSP is like, how can you apply this same logic? I gave the example of there's this farmer's market that I go to about every other week during the summer. It's owned by this like county property. It's like really rural area. It's like a historic site. There's no self-service, but obviously all the vendors there want to collect your payment on these like 5G point of sale systems, right? And so I used to just show up with a card, but there's just so much friction to be able to like transact. So you have to basically bring cash. There's no ATM in sight. So I said, well, if I was an MSP, this is a great opportunity. I could show up. I could offer a secure network for all of the vendors to accept their payments on, right? And now I could do that in exchange for a partnership or a sponsorship, maybe even a booth. And I could allocate some of the resources that I already have, maybe some of the people to come spend time helping. I could set up a guest network for the attendees. So that's just one example, But you can see, like, if you serve agriculture as a vertical, how great of an opportunity is that? You know, you're meeting these like farmers and everything that could now lead to actual business.
And farm fresh tomatoes in the summer. I mean, come on.
Especially in Jersey. Come on.
All that cabbage, all the cabbage is what you're getting at there. Paul, do you have something for us?
I've got lots of things for you. So it's, in fact, I've got some strategy stuff just to briefly talk about, and then a practical example that MSPs, well, an MSP I know here in the UK has done very well. So it's interesting when we talk about, oh, it's gone dark. The lights go off in the Tesla after about 20 minutes, I just found out. When we talk about community, what we're really talking about is building relationships with people. And it's ever so easy for us to look at all of the digital stuff because digital's easy, you know, and I use as much digital stuff as we all do, but we all love our LinkedIn, we all love our, you know, our Google, we all love our different ways of reaching people online, but they're just the current ways of reaching people. And they won't be, you know, they won't be the future ways of reaching people. In fact, that Chinese AI that everyone's talking about today, that's, you know, that's the future today. Whereas yesterday it was ChatGPT. Who knows what it's going to be in the future? But it's really interesting. I'm currently rewatching for the 4th time Mad Men. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mad Men. It's one of the best TV shows ever made. It's about the advertising industry in 1960s Manhattan. Madison Avenue, and it covers the whole decade. And what it's really about is how America grew up in the 1960s through these amazing
I actually
characters.
worked on, not to interrupt, I worked on Madison when the show came out. It was pretty trippy.
Did not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we need to have a conversation about that because it's such a cool show. But it was you talking about what you'd done in Manhattan back during the pandemic and how you got to know all these people in your streets. And that got me thinking, well, in the 1960s, excluding Madison Avenue, but if you run a small store or, you know, you're a service provider of some kind in the 1960s, how did you get market? How did you get business? Well, you knew the owners of all the other businesses. You probably went to the same bars. Your kids are all on the same soccer team, etc., etc. So that was the only way that you could do marketing in the 60s and the 70s. And, you know, even early tech, I think, was done physically because that was how humans built relationships. And then the internet came along, and it came along so long ago now that as the oldest person on this call by far, you know, Jennifer's late 30s, Max, Kevin's 26. I'm not going to talk about the rest of you guys, but you know, the internet really did change everything, completely change everything. And so an MSP today who is in their 30s, say, who has never been alive when the internet wasn't a thing, because, you know, the internet's been around since the late 90s. It's very easy to look at that and say, oh yeah, community, that's all digital, that's LinkedIn, it's this community, it's that community, or whatsoever. The 3-step marketing strategy I recommend to all MSPs everywhere, and it's only 6 words. It's the simplest strategy ever, but it's the most powerful marketing strategy. And I use it for my own marketing, is you build audiences, you grow relationships, and you convert relationships. And you can do that offline as well as you can online. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we've mentioned BNI, which of course is, I think, the world's biggest networking group. There are many other networking things, but networking, I don't mean cables. I mean physically going out and meeting people and having a breakfast. Networking is such an easy way for MSPs to meet other business owners. And trust me, those other business owners are as nervous as you are when they go to their first meeting. But even something as simple as networking is how you can build an amazing community around you. And we all know, I think, that I mean, like, I met Kevin physically. I've known Kevin only for about 5 years or so, but I met him physically in Vegas at ScaleCon last year, and we had a beer. And I think I bought those beers as well, Kevin. So it's your turn next time.
I might have the receipt.
Might have been you. But it was like in an hour, we sat at a bar for an hour just chatting. And that was a more in-depth conversation than I've ever had with Kevin over Zoom, because there's only so much you can do digitally. So yeah, I do think that looking offline is it's scary, it's time consuming, but it's so much more powerful. You have better relationships, you form deeper things. I promised you very quickly a practical thing. There's an MSP I know in the UK. I can't remember his name, but he told me this story a few years back where he got a small office in like a shared office space. So big building, lots of small offices, lots and lots of small businesses. And he's sitting there day after day, you know, seeing all these small businesses thinking, I could support them. I'd love to work with them. How do I start working with them? And then he realized there was no way of reaching everyone in the business other than he tried putting some flyers under doors, that kind of thing. So he came up with the idea of And someone mentioned earlier lunch and learns. He just turned it into lunch. He just did lunch, and it was literally come and meet your neighbors. Running your own business, even if you've got staff, is a very lonely thing. Every third Wednesday or every Thursday or whatever, come down to the atrium. I'm going to buy sandwiches. I'll shout at some stuff. Let's come and have lunch. And what started as 3 business owners coming, the next week was 5, the next was 7. And before you knew it, he was hosting an event, his own event, for the price of $30, $40 a week. And he's the host. He's the guy doing it. And so what happens is everyone suddenly starts asking these conversations about, well, what is an MSP? Why do I need IT support? Do you guys do the internet here? Can you improve that? Oh, we had a real nightmare this morning. And as you can imagine, within a period of time, he's dealing with the majority of those businesses in that building. So you could do that even if you're not in the building. You could find service centers in your city or your town, and you could do exactly that. And Kevin said something amazing. Kevin always says amazing things, but he said something about adding value, bringing value. That's a great example. I'm going to give you a sandwich. It's not going to cost you anything, but we're going to have a conversation, and that's my payment for that. And over time, I'm going to grow relationships with you, and you never know, we might do some business. That's a beautiful way of doing it.
Yeah, you guys killed it. And I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're in the city, you get sandwiches from Lenwich because you got the pastrami and the turkey at the same time. That is a big draw for people into an office. But realistically, you find the right thing. You let someone have a little bit of fun. And it's like sneaking your vegetables into the mac and cheese for the kids. You're giving them what they need while they're taking in what they're having fun with. And eventually they turn around and realize it and appreciate it. Sorry, Kevin. I know every time you go to say something, someone else kind of goes one of these.
No, it's fine. I was just going to add one brief note to Paul's comment on, his story of when we met up. I've met Paul a ton over the last 5 years. Literally, when we met in person for the first time, it might have been the first time I don't think we talked about MSPs like the whole time. And so I think that's the difference between the offline and online. It's like every online conversation we ever had was just like, here's why we're talking and we're sharing ideas and whatever. And then the second we were out of our element and in person, the whole kind of conversation changed. And I think that's the contrast there.
So we've been talking about connectors, right? Identifying the connectors, really building your relationship with them. Also, like Paul's example, becoming a connector yourself. I've got something I want to throw by you guys. So like when I think about community and how we've approached things and with Ninja, I mean, it's made such a complete sense the way that we do things because the community, our audience, right, are IT people who are online all the time and we know where they're at. Like there's a few watering holes and everything. There's not really equivalent, like, I don't know, I'm sure there's like a lawyer subreddit and like, I don't want to be on it. But like, maybe, I don't know how big it is or anything. But do you think, like, it struck me that whenever I see a lot of MSP folks talking about marketing and the types of things they want to talk about, they talk about what they know, which is the tech, right? But not a lot of people seek out, like, how many people out there like know, okay, we serve lawyers. There's this, like, here are the top podcasts for lawyers, right? Or like, here are the top places, groups, and just paying attention of who's active there and trying to be a presence, whether it's not so much that you're contributing all the time, but just being active in those places. Do you have any kind of advice there for your clients, or have you seen any clients do this in an effective way?
So one of the things that I tell people to do is Google influencers in my city. And they're micro influencers. They don't typically have millions of followers. They have hundreds, maybe thousands of followers, but every city has micro influencers. And so it might be, I'm the #1 podcaster in Waldorf, Maryland, and no one's ever heard of Waldorf, Maryland, unless you're in Waldorf, Maryland. And now I become someone that people want to connect to because I'm connected to other people. So that's just a very tactical, like literally it is a Google search. And then the other things are maybe it's the chamber president, or it's my city has a real estate agent, and his name is on every open lot, corporate real estate, anything that's zoned commercial. I know who's going to be listing it. And so if I had a brick and mortar in my geography, I would be making a point of being friends with that individual because probably they rub shoulders with the people that I want to rub shoulders with. So those are a couple of ideas.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm getting a bit of a theme here. and it's talk to people. They're probably going to be just as nervous as you are. And quite often, more often than not, there's room at the table for everyone. Just bring something with you. Bring something for the table, if you will, when you're joining the party. Now, Tom Lawrence's presence here, and maybe it's because we have a 3 p.m. meeting, I don't know, is a little unexpected. I'm going to put him in the hot seat because, Tom and I have been working together for the past, 10 months, 8 months, 9 months.
Coming up on a year almost, yeah.
Almost.
Almost.
And the first time that Tom and I met was in person. Like, we didn't really chat that much online or anything like that unless it was directly related to a work project, and it was mostly me behind the camera saying, okay, talk, and doing his thing. Do you remember when we first talked? And why do I work with you? It has to be something with that in person. Make me look good. Make me look good.
MSPGeek, though. That's, I believe, where we met in person first time.
Yeah. It was the keyboards that I had done the first year, the custom keyboard thing. And we sat down and had some great conversation. And I guess why I brought that up was because you're an intimidating person. Coming up to you, hey, Tom, it's really nice to meet you. It's nice. Hey, how you doing? That's the kind of thing that happens. And I don't know. I went on autopilot that day, walked up to you, said, here, have a keyboard. And I think that was pretty much it. And what I'm getting at is that sometimes that's all you have to do. Just say hi. Kind of go put yourself on autopilot. Don't worry about what the other person's going to say. Take the chance and say hello.
When I'm not in front of camera, I'm actually really socially awkward. Always have been. But there's things you can do to get around it. I think a lot of tech people are going, yeah, socially awkward. I can relate. But it's easier. And I actually did read, and I don't know how exactly relevant they are, but I read a lot of the Dale Carnegie books and things like that. But frequently I just ask people, what's the fun and interesting things you do? That's like my generic line I say to everyone I meet them. When I go to Chamber of Commerce events, when I'm at any business event, hey, what's the fun and interesting things you do? That's a great, you're not talking about yourself. And I often learn a lot about people that way. And it's kind of fun because I often learn they do something that I didn't know much about. Even lawyers, specifically, if you get into the niche of defense attorneys, ask them that question. They have stories and their stories are like a wild ride. Like, you should probably write a book about this person you were trying to defend. But it leads to a lot of interesting engagement because you immediately get them talking about themselves, and maybe they'll ask you the same. Often people reciprocate after they have a story, but it's not as hard. It seems so intimidating to connect with people at first, but over the years, I've kind of trained myself from being the quiet nerd who just read books all the time to reading books all the time, still, but getting out sometimes.
Getting out, reading books, and sharing the memes.
Yeah,
there we go.
I think in memes, so it's a whole different topic.
but also that's part of what makes you approachable as well. The sharing of humor in ways that we all do. And again, that just comes down to saying hi, getting engaged in a conversation, whether it's in person or online. In person's actually a lot of fun, and once you get into it, it's quite nice for the business sake of things. Jonathan, come on, keep me up here. I can't keep talking like this. There's got to be an agenda. I made the agenda. You're going to follow it. I'm not.
Well, we've got 60 minutes left, and I think we're going to do giveaways and stuff too. So maybe we go around one more time. Paul, you've already given a practical suggestion. You gave your one. Maybe you have another one, but I'm going to give you some time to think about it. Kevin, let's start with you. Any practical, immediate takeaway that folks could try to use?
Yeah, so I think online versus online. I think online, like if you're trying to infiltrate, I guess would be a term, like an existing community, especially in a vertical, the way that I found is useful is like start with like an in-person event, look at the speaker lineup. So let's say it's a lawyer tech conference, look at everybody who's speaking, look them all up on LinkedIn, then go find who's liked and commented on their posts, obviously connect with those people. And then obviously you want to connect with that influencer. Once they accept it, you can do like a LinkedIn search for all of their connections. And so you can actually friend request or, connection request all of their connections that are filtered by that vertical. So now you can start to put your bubble, you can manufacture your bubble to be their bubble, which is how you start identifying these problems that you can now use to find ways to sort of serve that community, because you can't serve it from outside. You have to immerse yourself in it. So in person, obviously that's a different story. I shared the idea of the farmers market. There was something I always wanted to do when I had an MSP, which was not necessarily to serve business owners. It was more to serve like the youth, I guess, in the community, which was like, we had this basement full of retired equipment, and I always wanted to do like a STEM night. So basically just pull out a bunch of stuff, assign it to some of our techs, just say like, come up with these little project ideas, or just give the kids a bunch of screwdrivers and say, take apart whatever you want, poke around, look at it, and so you can invite business owners to that and their families, right? So there's a way to kind of tie that together. But those are just some kind of practical ideas that maybe could help as inspiration.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. How about you, Jennifer?
This one is also more of an online strategy or tactic. And again, this is just from my own experience. The last couple of weeks, I have had this individual comment on my LinkedIn post roughly 3 times a week. And I'm not going to purchase from him, but his headline is something like, I sell VR headsets. I'm not in the market for a VR headset, but I had no idea who he was. So the first time he commented on my post, I went to his profile, went, VR headset, that's cool, whatever. And then I went about my day. And then the next time I'm like, who is this guy? I go out to his profile. Oh, it's the VR headset guy. Okay. Third time I'm like, oh, look, there's the VR headset guy. He has now commented with decent comments, probably 6 times. Now, that's step 1, is that he has gotten my attention. I now know who he is. Now, step 2, I would bet money what he's going to do is pitch me. I'm expecting that this week or next. Do you want to buy a VR headset? If you're watching, the answer is no. I really don't want to buy your VR headset. But what you can do is a pattern interrupt. Instead of pitching me on buying a VR headset, what about if you pitched me on something valuable? Why a VR headset would make me be a better sales and marketing coach. Oh, you've got a resource on that, a free video, a checklist, a white paper. Now maybe I'm leaning in and maybe now I'm interested. So just by him commenting on my LinkedIn, maybe 5 times in 2 weeks, he got my attention. And now if he adds value to my life as opposed to pitching me, now I'm much more likely to lean in. So if he provides service to me or adds value to my world, that's very unusual on LinkedIn. And it takes just that little edge to create a bit of a relationship with someone. So take that, run with it. You can add, do a lead magnet. Paul Green has all kinds of great lead magnets inside of his program. Share a lead magnet, wait a month, share something else, wait a month, share something else. You're building a relationship. Eventually they'll be like, what in the world? Who are you? What do you do? Oh, I thought you'd never ask. And now you can have a conversation. And no, I don't want to buy a VR headset.
You should try one. So many comments in the chat asking now. Thank you, Jennifer. Paul, bring us home.
Yeah, sure. So I've got one that can be online and offline, and it's really delving into the community in the true sense of the word. You're going to help some kids in your community, and I thought Kevin was about to give my idea away, and Kevin stopped before he got there. So I've seen an MSP do this in Canada 2-3 years in a row. It's insane because it's very little work for you, but the impact you have on people is huge, and you get a load of PR off it, and you can actually get the local TV station involved helping you with this. Here's what you do. You say you put something out to all of the community that anybody that's got an old laptop, an old PC laptop, all those Windows 7 machines they've still got knocking around, you'll take those in, right? And you of course you do some kind of security thing of making sure they're wiped properly. We want to get all the data off them, but you're collecting old laptops. And then throughout the year, when your technicians have got nothing to do, they install Chrome OS Flex, I think it's called, which is the free version of Chrome. And you can turn any PC into a laptop. And then once a year, perhaps late November, early December, you get together with a media outlet. It could be a newspaper. I mean, no one reads newspapers, but they still have clout. TV station would be better. Radio would be okay. And you say, hey, over the year, we've built up 100. We've got 100 Chromebooks. They're all old computers, but the Chromebooks are perfectly good. They work fine. We're going to give these away. Would you like to help us give them away? And what we'd rather do is perhaps give them all to one organization. So it'd be this organization this year. It'd be a different organization the year after. So you can see how we're recycling tech. We're doing good for the actual community. And from a promotional point of view, it is insane. It's called cause-related marketing, where you get, well, it's exactly the example that Kevin gave earlier of the guy that sponsored the ball team. And this is just a free way of doing it. But because it's about tech, it directly links it back to the fact that you're a tech firm as well.
I love it. Love it.
I got to tell you, folks, I'm floored. When I put this idea for the session together, I was not sure how it was going to go. And some of the information that's been shared here today has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I may have looked like I was drifting off for a second there because I may have been picking the winners for some of the giveaways we're doing, but I was hanging there on every single word, and I can't tell you how much it makes me want to get back into MSP marketing a bit in 2025. So I'm super, super psyched about that. Sorry, Tom. We still got plenty to do. Are there any final remarks anyone would like to leave us off with before we head out to do some giveaways and get everyone back to the workday closing tickets?
I've got one final thought, especially with this audience. Sometimes we tend to be a little data driven and a little bit logical. And what that means is that we want to have the entire flow chart built out. If this, then that, and if that, then this, and the whole thing baked out. And while I don't want you to execute sloppy marketing necessarily, it does not have to be perfect when you execute. I launched a landing page last week and invited people to an AI workshop, and the form was all the way at the bottom of the page. And I had 40 people register. It was not perfect. It was far from perfect. So while I don't want you to execute in an ugly manner and I don't want things to be broken, fight the urge for everything to be 100% perfect, because that's your natural bent. You like that binary. It's perfect. It's ready to go. Let's launch. If you're waiting till it's perfect and fully fleshed out, you're missing a lot of golden opportunities to get feedback, to see what works, to find out what doesn't work, and pivot. Trust yourself to iterate and figure it out on the fly. So just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Just get it done and start executing.
God, remain in motion. I love that. Absolutely love that. Well, folks, I think we've come to the end of this third session here. I got to thank you guys, Jennifer, Paul, Kevin. You are fantastic human beings, and I look forward to meeting you in the real world sometime in this next year. It's gonna be a fun time. And clearly, Kevin now he owes all of us drinks at this point, I guess is what I'm saying. So, with that
Cheers.
said, I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys, as well as Tom. I'll be back with you in a little bit. I'm gonna bring Jonathan and Violet and Wayne. Well, Jonathan's right here. I'm gonna bring Violet and Wayne in to bring it out with us. And again, thanks, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Tom, you want to hang out? You can hang out with us for a few minutes. Hey guys, here we have made it to the end of. I almost said Customer Appreciation Day. I can't believe it. Community Appreciation Day, and it's been a fantastic 2 hours. I believe we've come in just at about that right time. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to announce the people that were going to win the separate prizes. Now, while the event was going on, I've gone ahead and analyzed chat and come up with individuals, as well as did a random random drawing of numbers using the shuff function on one of my Raspberry Pis to just kind of keep things technical. You know, I think that's important. And just because we haven't had any real technical discussion today, I'm just going to show you my little screen here just to show that I did indeed use my Raspberry Pi to come up with exactly which numbers from the drawing it is that we're going to choose. And I'm echoing. Does someone have some background music going on?
Not me.
Oh, you know what it is? It's the hustle and bustle of 45 Professional. There's always something interesting going on over there. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't me. But yeah, we actually did some random numbers, which is a cool thing to be able to show. And the chef function is a really cool way to do that. So without further ado, let's see. Who do we want to go with first? Domotz, Violet, you want to read the 3 winners that have been selected for your gifts?
Yes. So the winners of the Domotz gifts are, and apologies in advance, Richard Posey-Wack, Sean Jennings, and Yoslin Chavez.
Boom. Okay, so we're going to get an email out to you by, say, end of day today, and we'll make arrangement to get your gift boxes, right, Violet? You guys were doing gift boxes?
Boxes will, with the Funko Pop theme and a few other little goodies in there. And hope you enjoy them.
We always love goodies. I'm going to have to get one of those Funko Pops with my glasses and the hat. Little trademark going on there. Now, Mr. Crow, I believe you had a few gifts ready for people as well. And I think you've got your winners right there in front of you in the magical StreamYard chat.
I do. Thank you so much, Matt. Congratulations. Apologies again for the pronunciation. Pankaj Badiari, Chris Williams, and Michael Fleth. You guys are going to have your choice of MSPGeek con tickets. We'd love to give those to you guys. Help you guys get to that show because, as we all talked about, it's an amazing conference. If for whatever reason you can't go, or you think that's not something you'd be able to do, we also are giving away a Swiss Army knife. I think it's like the Cyber Tool. I'll drop a link in here, and so we'll get those to you guys. And congratulations.
All right, Wayne. Now, a lot of people have seen that Pro client at the beginning of today's event. You got a name here. You want to read that off and let the lucky winner of the 45 Pro client know who they are? I haven't done this in a while. You're on mute. Come on, dance. All right, Jonathan, you got the shirts. No?
There you go. Thanks a lot. I have selected a person, and at 3:33, this person commented, which is my favorite number. Drew Heck, you're the winner of our 45 professional client.
Hey, just
Clearly there must be a mistake.
Yeah, full disclosure. Drew was actually the first person in this community I ever had a fight with.
Well, there you have something to make up with, Share your love for 45 Pro.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, that is an excellent pick. He was very active today. I wasn't expecting that one. All right, folks. Well, look, community is very important to everyone that's here, everyone that's been watching, everyone that's on screen. If it weren't for such a vibrant and beautiful community, I would most likely be back in the publishing industry, not being happy wearing a suit. And we can't let that happen. So we have to do another one of these in 6 months. People, get on the list right now. No. All right. With that said, does anyone else have anything they'd like to add before I hit the outro for today's stream?
Yeah, just really want to thank all of you for participating, and special thanks to Matthew Fox for helping me coordinate all of this and for all your countless hours of help. I will owe you some sandwiches and that. And thanks so much, Tom, for joining us as well, and everyone who attended. And hopefully we can make this a kind of annual thing and do it every year. And thank you, Wayne and Jonathan, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be a part of. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Such an incredible community. It's because of everyone, the folks that are on here and the folks in the chat. Feel super lucky to be a part of it. A couple of events that are coming up, just to plug really quickly. We got, as Dean called out, Rejection Con put on by the Empath guys. We've got MSPGeek Con coming up. Those speaking sessions, you should totally apply. Everyone should apply for this. It's one of the things that makes the conference different. They want to hear from people who are in their jobs, who are sharing learnings and practical things. They're accepting submissions through the end of the week. So go check out their site, do that, register. Let us know if we can help at all. And thank everybody again. This is great.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to say thank you as well to everybody. A big shout out to Matthew Fox and Violet for coordinating this. I got to see behind the scenes and how this all came about. Awesome to everybody who attended, the unsung heroes who are building the digital network of our economy. I really appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself and 45 Drives, 45 Professional from all of us here. Thanks so much. And we look forward to Jonathan, Tom. Thanks for stopping in. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey,
take care, everybody.
Well, hold on, we're not done. I mean, Tom, you want to plug the YouTube? We got to make money. Tom, you want to plug the YouTube? I mean, we said we weren't going to market anything, but we're going to market something.
I feel awkward plugging the YouTube.
We'll let Tom do it for sure.
Yeah.
Right ahead.
Plenty of fun videos over at lawrencesystems.com. We'll just keep it simple. I think people usually Google and accidentally find me to solve their problem. Working on a video right now that involves a whole lot of cabling because people have questions. So stay tuned for all that. Yeah, Matt's like, yeah, this is a video you're supposed to be working on, not here, right? Matt keeps me in order, and because I bounce around doing something else sometimes.
And I dropped a link so you didn't have to. I dropped a link to the store where you can get all the awesome swag because your shirts are amazing.
Lots of shirts, and we even have some amazing ones that Jonathan contributed. So there's some of those shirts. I wear them enough that we had to put them in the store. There's enough demand. And we were like, "Where'd you get that cool shirt?" I'm like, "Well, Jonathan made it. You still should be part of Backups and Bandwidth, the whole thing. That's still a fun time."
Actually,
but
why
if you
don't we
need a
just
shirt while you
Plug
my
that,
store has
man.
shirts if you want to wear that shirt while you're watching along with that.
That's this Friday, I want to say. Backups and Bandwidth?
Thursday, actually.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday. Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern?
That's right.
Wow, I have a good mind. All I got is my Raspberry Pi terminal window and StreamYard up right now and nothing else. That was pretty good. Yeah, look, it's another community event. The more community events we all participate in, the stronger this community becomes. The stronger it becomes, the more opportunities we all have. And that's why we're all here today. And with that said, I always feel like I have to say like, share, and subscribe, but that doesn't make sense today. So what I'm going to say is, everyone, go close some tickets, and we'll talk to you soon. 5 stars.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna end.